Network Next Gen, the podcast, inspiring design industry hustlers. Ready?
We're ready.
Okay, all right. So, Joe, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We are here in Chicago at the beautiful Merchandise Mart. Shout out to our Merchandise Mart partners.
Yes.
So we love Lux Home and the Design Center and all of them. They're great. So, Joe, this is our first reboot of the Network Next Gen podcast. Thank you for agreeing to be part of our crazy scheme.
I love it.
Okay, so today's format's going to be a little different. So we were trying to think of ways to mix it up and make things kind of different and unique. So we thought of this call-in format, which I know you were kind of excited about, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to pick a topic, and then we're going to have either Next Geners or A&D reps. They could be Next Geners. They could be outside of the Next Gen group. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
But we're going to have call-in guests. So for this first one, I had actually reached out to you first to see what kind of topics you were interested in. What was kind of something that like you were drawn to, and why? I'm curious to hear what you kind of thought today we should talk about.
You know, when we talked about this and I brought up the idea of talking about working from home, working remotely, going back into the office, and I know for the lovely time of COVID, we all enjoyed it over the past 2 years. I said I don't want to feel like we're beating a dead horse, but it's such a topic of conversation of, do you work from home? Do you work remotely? As a millennial, you expect different things. Certain millennials want to work from home. They want to work from the office. So having our conversation, different points of view, the callers, I'm excited to hear what they have to say of, what are people's opinions? What's the future of the office going to look like? What do employers expect of their employees? So I think that was kind of what I mentioned to you to talk about and get people's opinion and see the future of a workplace.
I love that. And I think what's cool about that too is now it's such a different time to talk about it, because a lot of people have been in the office now for like a year.
Yeah.
So like now it's not just speculation, now it's in practice. So I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic. So Joe, why don't we start with you first, talking about like who you are. So like let's introduce you a little bit. So can you just do like a quick little
elevator speech? So my name is Joe Mautino. I work for Whitney Architects down in Chicago, Illinois. We're right downtown. We moved about 2 years ago, so we're super excited to be in the heart of all the hustle and bustle. But yeah, I've been with them for 5 years. We mainly focus on corporate design, so that's why this is a very exciting topic for me to see people's opinion. As mentioned, been in the industry for 5 years and love it every single day.
That's so great. I love it. And your team has grown, right? Like Whitney?
So Whitney has, I think every single company has had their ups and downs with COVID.
Totally.
But I mainly focus on downtown Chicago, tenant improvement, building owners, management. And we started a few years ago, there was 3 of us, and now we're up to 8. So the city is moving and grooving, and we're, really excited to have that team grow and prosper.
I'm so excited. I think we met when you first started too.
Yes.
So it's been cool to see you.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a while, and it's also been cool to see you grow into this role.
You've seen the evolution of all of it.
Which is so cool. I'm like so happy about that. All right, cool. Well, let's get into it.
Thanks, Tara. Our first caller is Kelly Mildren from Spartan Surfaces. Take it away.
So, Kelly, this is Joe Mautino.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Joe.
Kelly is with Spartan Surfaces here in Chicago. So, Kelly, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit first, and then we'll kind of just have you take it away?
Yeah, my name is Kelly Mildren. I work with Spartan Surfaces on the Chicago team. I've been in the industry for about 8 years. I've been with Spartan for coming up on 6, and kind of all things flooring. Literally all things flooring. So.
Yeah, you guys have a broad range, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think given markets, we have different products in different cities and such, but in Chicago, we rep somewhere around 40 manufacturers at any given time.
Crazy.
So, everything from resilient to hard surface, hardwood. We're getting into rugs. We're going vertical. It's kind of wild.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you called in today. What's your comments or questions for Joe and myself on workplace? This whole convo is about returning to the office. What are you seeing? I didn't know if you had any questions or if you just had more comments from what you're seeing. I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Yeah. So, I think every market's a little different, but it seems like the industry trend is almost like, from a rep's perspective, you're getting in Tuesday through Thursday. Mondays and Fridays are kind of like no luck. So I'm just wondering if you guys are seeing that, if we are getting back into the office, what that hybrid structure kind of looks like.
Interesting. I love that. So from a rep, you're seeing it being like Tuesday through Thursday is really your shot at getting in and seeing people in the office.
Yeah, just face to face. And I guess to throw this on top of that, and Joe, maybe this is more towards you, is the design process more fluid when you are able to be with your colleagues and your counterparts in the office, for having materials handy, having your colleagues to bounce things off of, being able to see your reps, etc.
Well, so Joe, what do you think about that?
Kelly's brought up a lot of great points. I do agree. I see a lot of nobody's in the office Fridays. I do think people are starting to try and extend their weekend a little bit. If you worked your 40 hours, maybe cut it close at the end of Friday and get a few extra hours of the weekend. But the design world, I think we thrive on collaboration and working together and bouncing ideas off each other. So during COVID, when we were stuck at home, it was really, really hard to do that, because when you are in the office, it's great to, tap somebody on the back and be like, hey, can you take a quick look at this plan? Or, I have to pick a grout. Like, do you think this grout matches? Like, I don't, but when you're at home, you second guess everything. Things take longer. And when you can have a 5-minute conversation, like I said, when you bump into somebody in the hospitality or, the water cooler conversations, when you have to set that up over email, a 5-minute little chit chat turns into a 2-hour process of this craziness. So I mean, especially in the design field, I can't speak for all the other industries out there. You thrive on that type of environment. You have to talk to people. And I feel like, during COVID, some people really loved staying at home. I was not one of those people. I need human interaction.
Yeah.
But when trying to create a palette and coming up with a palette at home was a nightmare, especially too when you do have your reps and you can call them in and say, hey, I'm looking at these different types of floor tile. I don't want to order 40 of them, but I need to see the whole color range. Can you bring them in? So they can come in and then even tell you about their product, or best ways to install it, or best ways not to install it.
Yeah.
It really was hard working from home. You had to create your own library.
Totally.
And especially Chicago people or New York, LA, that we don't have a lot of square footage in our homes.
Yep.
So especially younger people, we don't have a house with a private or an office, or, we can go down to our basement. Like, you got 1,000 square foot in your apartment, one bedroom, a dining table, and a living room. Like, we didn't have a lot to work with. So it was such a breath of fresh air to come into the office and have those conversations and see people and go to your library and pull out the 40 different carpet books that you need. It definitely, I think it hindered design a little bit. And too, Kelly, I think you can speak to this a little bit. We do lunch and learns every Tuesday, and we do breakfast events with reps every Thursday. So we have new product in front of our face twice a week, every single week. Reps worked their butt off to do these Zoom calls, and no shade to them, I could not listen to another Zoom call of, look at this brand new fabric.
Yeah.
It has such a good weight. If you could touch it, it's so soft. I'm like, well, it's on a camera. And it's just like, I was always joining these calls, but I had them in the back of my computer.
So
I had CAD open, and I felt like I wasn't respecting the reps because I wasn't listening. But I'm assuming at the same time, the reps are like,
Kelly, I'm sure you did not like those Zoom calls either, right?
Honestly, it was great to be able to see people and connect in a way, but goodness gracious, I am so over Zoom life. I cannot tell you enough. I mean, it's just, our industry, whether you're from the designer side or the rep side, we're a tactile industry. We are hands-on, we're collaborators. And so to do this remotely and isolated through a computer screen has just been
so hard.
Quite a challenge, and I think I'm speaking from the rep side. Most of us are people,
Yeah.
We have to be. It's kind of how our job, probably how we got our jobs, right? So for me, it's been horrible.
Yeah, totally.
I'm so ready to be in front of people, and I don't even care if we talk about flooring. Sorry.
Let's talk about anything.
Like, what's the next Netflix show you're watching? I need something here.
Anything. But I wonder if, so this dynamic, just really quick before we move on to our next topic, that 3-day window now, that used to be 5 days, that's kind of come down. You guys are kind of saying that's standard. How do reps work into that, Joe, in your opinion? Because I feel like when that is decreased the time, it makes it a little harder for reps because then you have to see more people in a less amount of time.
Yeah.
How has that kind of shifted for you over the last year? How are you guys handling that?
It is difficult. And like I mentioned before, we do have a standing every Tuesday, every Thursday. So I think that's good for the reps because like I know I'm getting X amount of people in front of my product at these guaranteed days. But it used to be, reps would stop by on a Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. to be like, hey, here's a new product update. Let me update the library. And there's been times where reps will come in and nobody's there. And I feel bad for them. They do miss that opportunity to get the new product in front of people because every single company is coming out with new stuff. And, whatever's freshest in your mind, that is, a lot of times what you end up using. So it is definitely different. And I think timelines have changed as well because we are still working 5 days a week, obviously. But, if you're only in the office, I'm in Monday, Tuesday, Friday or something, and a rep's like, oh, well, I can't do Monday or Tuesday, but I can do Friday. And you're like, I'm working from home Friday, so let's push it to next week. And then I do think we are seeing timelines getting pushed a little bit longer to coordinate with everybody's schedules.
Totally.
And then even to get the clients in front of them, they're like, well, I don't want to come in this days, and I'm only in the office every Tuesday from noon to 4. And I'm like, well, that's not giving me a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it definitely.
So that's clients and reps.
Yeah, clients and reps both. And the sad part is it makes the timelines longer, but we're not getting a longer timeline.
So it's longer timelines on seeing product, but still the same project deadline.
Yeah, now everybody wants everything done yesterday.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I almost wonder, do you guys feel like the adjustment socially going back, it almost was like people were awkward? Like we had to readjust to the chit chat because it's like, what's happening kind of thing,
Yeah, it is funny because I hear a lot, people are like, oh, I come in, let's say they come in 3 days a week or 2 days a week. They're like, every time I come into the office, I'm so busy. I don't have time to get my work done, but I'm so productive at home. And I'm like, well, yes, you are busy because you do take that 5-day work week and put it into 3 days or 2 days. And you're like, well, I need to get all my meetings in the city Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have to chit chat with people in the hospitality. I have to do my collaboration. And it's like, yeah, you are cramming all of that into 3 days. But if we go back to normal, whatever that may look like, before you were in 5 days. So you spread out all of those meetings.
And maybe that's what allowed for some of that more social time. Because I think that's the first thing you eliminate, right? Is the pleasantries. You're getting just straight down to business because you're cramming it. I've never thought about it like that. That's interesting.
So it's like if you actually came in 5 days a week,
maybe
you would
add
that. Issues.
Yeah.
Just to add on to that, obviously the last 2 years, we have all been communicating via email. Of course, phone calls too, but so much of our communication, whether it's with colleagues, with suppliers, with reps, whatever it has, or, GCs, developers, whoever it's been, everything has been electronic and it's quick.
Yeah.
So at least for me on my side of it, now that I'm getting in front of people and these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are jam packed, which is great. I'm getting home and I'm like, oh my gosh, and 3 hours of work because I have all these emails. The emails have just been so much
true.
More.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Such a shift. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for calling in, Kelly. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
And our second caller is Lauren Visco from Luca Lanzetta Group. Take it away.
Lauren, hi. How's it going?
Hi. Good. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Do you want to state your position and your firm and your company just so everyone kind of knows?
Sure. So I'm an interior designer for Luca Lanzetta Group here in Chicago. Currently actually at the Mart.
That's awesome. And Lauren, you attended a Next Gen dinner forever ago, right?
I know.
It's so crazy. Life
it's fun
is
to
flying.
think back about it.
Yeah, it's going so fast. Okay, cool. So what's your question today, Lauren, or statement?
So my question is, what is your experience with in-person presentations versus the virtual presentations, given that we are in the design industry? Do you think one serves a greater impact than the other? And what's your experience like with that?
That's a great question. Yeah. So presenting to clients either virtually or in person, that's so interesting.
the idea of virtual, I think, is so great because you can, certain clients, they're moving to the city or they're from New York or the ownership is in a different area. So to always get everybody in the room at the same time, sometimes it takes weeks of scheduling or make sure that there's flights and things like that. So the idea is amazing of virtual presentations, but there's so many little things that I have ran into, and Lauren, you may have run into, presenting furniture and whatnot. Even the smallest thing of different computer screens show product differently. So I'll have a rendering on the screen. It'll look amazing on my computer, but then if I project it on a TV or, send it to a client, their screen looks differently. And oh, why is this so yellow? I'm like, no, it's a white. Like, it's a neutral color. It's white. It's not green, I swear. Yeah. And so then I think people do get so hung up on little visuals like that. And I think designers, our brains are very interesting things, and they work very differently than somebody that might be in a law firm or the accounting firm that you're trying to redesign, and they get so hung up on that 1 to 2 little elements, and you're like, no, just trust me, like, well, I can't picture it. And I'm like, but no, in my head, it's great, just trust me. And they're like, well, I don't really know you. How can I trust you? So it has been a big hurdle with the virtual. And then too, to like, even if you do a virtual meeting, then you try and send your finishes. But if you have people, they're not all in the same location. So you have to send 4 packages of the carpet and of the paint and the wall coverings to, all throughout Chicago or throughout the country. So that has been,
instead of you all just looking at the same palette right in front of you,
and they can ask as many questions. And I know we've all dealt with this, and we should know by now after 2 years of Zoom, people don't learn how to use the mute button. Either the mute is always off and they're talking and they're like, and you're like, your mute's on, or you hear the little kid running around in the background, or the dog is barking, or they're outside and the birds are chirping and they don't know how to turn it off.
Oh my god!
So that has been a huge. Those little things can make such a difference, and I keep seeing, okay, well, these are the things that we need to go back into the office. Take these cues. So virtual versus in person. I am all for the in person. But there is a huge benefit of the virtual because you can get people from across the country in one location at one time, and there's a lot.
So it's almost kind of like this hybrid of like doing both. Yes. And almost from your answer for the presentations even as well.
Yeah.
Lauren, what do you think about it? I'm curious your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think those are all good points. I would agree that in-person presentation just generally gives a greater impact from your body language to your excitement, showing a client like what their space could look like. When you're sharing your screen, you could be emphatic, but someone's just looking at your floor plan. You in the corner,
totally,
like throwing your arms in the air, jumping up and down. So I think hybrid suits us designers in our industry. And then the other thing I would say is no one wants to store a material library in their life.
100%.
So I need
100%. I totally agree. I also think like similar to what we talked about earlier with The Office, that like little banter.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like on Zoom, even with clients, you can get to the banter part, but it's not as like genuine and like casual.
The weather's nice.
Like you're actually seeing them and you're like getting a better feel for who they are. Yeah. You don't feel there's any barriers where on the screen you can make jokes, but sometimes there's a delay. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, is this hitting? I can't tell. What are you looking at? That's not me. Like it gives you more of a pause.
And it is kind of tricky because people say the bigger the group is, the more intimate things are. And it's like, we can be in a room with 12 people, you and I can have a conversation. But if we're on Zoom and there's 12 different faces, you and I can't have a conversation. I have to feel like I'm talking to everybody. So you might have a more personal connection with somebody on that meeting, but you don't want to bring up, how are your kids or how's the dog? Because, John Smith might not know that, or you don't want to, release some information that they don't want to tell people.
Totally. I never thought about the side
That's kind of tricky. You can't have those small little side conversations.
So interesting. Oh my gosh. Cool. Well, Lauren, anything else you want to add here on this topic?
No, but I'm eager to listen to the rest of this podcast. So thank you for having me, guys.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for calling in, Lauren.
I haven't thought about a lot of those, like just those little pieces.
It is the little things that really, change your life up, and there's certain things that you can't change. Like I said, like a color on a screen, like. I mean, you can tweak it and edit it, but it might look great on mine.
And not yours.
And also, too, somebody might be, and I've done this 100 times too, my email's up while the Zoom's in the background, and I might not be looking what they're sharing their screen, or I'm like, oh, I'm so busy, I have to tweak this in CAD or something. So you don't know how captive your audience is.
You don't know. And also, like, as an audience member in a presentation, your mind is kind of being pulled in different directions. You're not able to be like, I have to focus.
Yeah.
It's being pulled.
It is, and it's so easy to check your phone, look at your watch, or see what's playing on the TV behind you that you shouldn't have on.
Yep, drift off in your like in your head. Totally.
It is. It has been such a, I mean, we have gone through so much in the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I'm really excited in 10 years to see kids, the history chapter of 2019 to 2022,
it's
2023.
Gonna be like those years.
They're going to be like, Mom, Dad, you went through this. And like, we don't talk about that. Like, don't bring it up.
We don't talk about it.
We have learned, when we are still learning how to get through this. And so it's been so interesting. And everybody says normal, like, old normal, that's out the window. Like, we don't know what new life is going to look like. We're taking it literally one day at a time.
One day at a time. But also, I'm glad we talked about all these areas, because this is stuff you can even relate to your clients. You know what I mean? Like, these are points where you're like, if I'm designing a workplace, here's what we have in mind. We have all these different points, and that's the value of being in the actual office.
It is,
which I think is so important.
And I mean, like I mentioned, we do corporate design. We design offices. I'm so pro going to the office, because if you're not going to the office, I can't design anymore.
Exactly. But it gives you the reason to be like, this is a value.
There is such a value. I mean, I do agree. I don't know if we will ever see a 5-day in-person work. I mean, certain companies may. I don't know how the accounting or the law or the banking, that's above my pay grade. They may need to be in the office more, but in our industry, and I think most industries, we're going to see this hybrid of. And I'm seeing it from a lot of the clients. People are doing, okay, Susie comes in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. John and Susie share a desk. John comes in Tuesday, Thursday.
You're seeing that from
clients.
So
we can do let's say they're a 100-person office. They had a 14,000 square foot floor plate. If only half of the office is in each day, then they can shrink that down to 7,000 and, save on rent, and then can maybe get some nicer upgrades and fixtures. And a lot of companies are coming to us and they're being like, I got to get my kids back into the office. Like, I need these young kids that are coming out of college to get their butts into the office. We can't do the 6-foot high work panels with the beige carpet and the brown walls and the 1980s artwork. Like, I have to do something cool and interesting. Like, I have to give them a reason to come into the office.
Totally.
Because it is great to wake up, roll out of bed, not take a shower, not have to brush your hair, and be online at 9 o'clock. If you're coming into the office, you wake up 2 hours early, you have to take a shower, you got to brush your hair.
So your job as a designer is to be like, you need to make these clients want to come to the office.
We have to show them that, one, that there's a reason to come in and it's helpful for your business and it's going to grow your business and your profession. But at the same time, unfortunately, not every employee is like, yay, go work. I want to grow the future of the office. Everybody's like, me, what's in it for me? And showing them that. And also, like, Instagram, you can be like, hey, my office is cooler than your office.
Totally. It's part of the culture. I think, like, even we noticed at Network Next Gen, we're craving that culture. Like, we want to have that banter and we want to have a cool space to do it. So,
have you been running into people being afraid to come in because they're still worried about COVID and the spread?
I haven't heard
safety?
of any of that.
Okay.
And I haven't heard clients expressing that. I think at the beginning when we would have these, CEUs or talks about like workplace in the future, they would talk about like, oh my gosh, we're going to have all these like stations and glass panels and like all this stuff. And now everyone's like, it's actually staying pretty much the same. It's just maybe spreading out, but it's more of what you're talking about, this like scheduling and like coming in or coming out. That's what I'm hearing more consistently. I'm not hearing designers saying we're making big changes. It's more of we're trying to get people back and like thinking of cool ways to do it. But I don't think it's like this safety concern as much as it is more of like time management, culture, well, we got used to. Would you agree with that?
I do, and I think this. I hate to say.
Do you have clients ever ask you what are the safety?
No, obviously there will be those people that are out there. Certain people are more afraid of this or that, pre-existing conditions. I completely respect that. But I do see a lot of millennials being like, well, I don't feel comfortable coming into the office yet. And I know it's not that because I'll be out with them on a Saturday. But, it's hard for an employer to be like, no, it's fine, come in. Like, you can't dispute that.
It's kind of a work, like almost an HR thing that's changed where they're like having to be careful about how they make demands.
Yes, and I know there was a lot of conversation of employees asking for vax cards, but it is so funny. We were so strict with wearing masks every day and having your vax card, and if you're vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated, and quarantining for 14 days if you went home to see mom and dad, and now it's just like, come on in.
Totally. So now it's changed from people feeling safe to people wanting to come in.
Yes.
So that all goes to me, and I think that's just because me and you, we're both in the design world.
Yeah.
That all comes back to design. How do we make it cool?
That's our job now to get them into the office.
Yeah. How do they decide to want to? It's all design.
But everybody, they're doing it. They're trying to do it as affordably as possible too. And you're like, unfortunately, we've been seeing with long lead times and inflation obviously has gone up, and we're seeing that price point, but always the budget doesn't account for changing
cool
that.
features.
So it's lead times I think have been so crazy. I feel like before COVID we're like 12 weeks for a couch, I have to pick a new one, and now we're like 12 weeks. Oh my God, that's awesome. Last I heard was 26 weeks. You're like, okay, well I guess I'll work for as a person that manufactures the couch, if somebody's going to wait 20 weeks, why do they need to make it quicker? Because they're going to wait no matter what.
Totally.
So it's definitely, we're learning every single day about what the future is going to be.
I love that. Well, Joe, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
It was, I really took a lot of tidbits from this that I don't normally hear in this kind of conversation.
I hope any of our viewers learned something too.
I hope so too. And I love this call. What do you think about the call-in format?
I love the call-in because, it goes back to the virtual. We can have accessibility to a lot of other people, and they don't have to be here.
Totally, and we can be in person and make the convo happen, and then we can bring them.
And you always have to have other people's opinions because different industries and different even sides of the industry, people all see it from different angles. So it's good to hear what other people are seeing, so you become educated and know what you're telling your clients.
Exactly, and if we've learned anything, like to your point, in the last 2 years, it's like, it's going to keep changing.
Yep. Yeah.
So we'll be in the moment with the information.
Stay on your toes and you got to just ride with it.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe, for being here.
Thank you again.